In the southern lands of Egypt, near our border with Sudan, lies a true marvel of the ancient world. These are the temples of Abu Simbel. They are not built from separate stones like many other temples. Instead, they were carved directly from the living rock of a mountain. This was a tremendous feat of engineering and art. For thousands of years, these temples stood as a symbol of the power and glory of the pharaohs. They were a message to all who traveled on the Nile River. They declared that this land belonged to the mighty rulers of Egypt, and that their legacy would last forever. It is a place that still fills me with wonder every time I visit. The great pharaoh who commanded the creation of these temples was Ramses II. He was one of the most powerful and famous rulers in the history of our great nation. Ramses II reigned for an incredible 67 years during the 19th dynasty, over 3,000 years ago. He was a great builder, and his monuments can be found all across Egypt. He wanted to show his strength to his enemies, especially the Nubians to the south. Abu Simbel was built to be a permanent reminder of his victory at the Battle of Kadesh. It was also a way to honor the gods and to declare his own divine status. This was not just a building, it was a statement of eternal power. The temples at Abu Simbel are actually two separate structures, side by side. The larger temple is dedicated to Ramses II himself, alongside the great gods Amun-Ra, Ra-Horakhti, and Ptah. It is a testament to how Ramses saw himself as a living god on earth. The smaller temple is also very special. Ramses II dedicated it to his most beloved wife, Queen Nefertari. He also dedicated it to the goddess Hathor. It is rare in Egyptian history for a queen to be honored with a temple of this scale. This shows the deep love and respect Ramses had for Nefertari, making her almost his equal in this grand project. For many centuries, the sands of the desert buried these magnificent temples. The world outside of Egypt forgot they even existed. They lay hidden, protected by the sand, until the early 19th century. In 1813, a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt rediscovered the top of the main temple. It was then the great Italian explorer Giovanni Belzoni who, a few years later, managed to clear away the sand and enter the temple for the first time in modern history. Imagine the excitement of seeing those ancient halls after they had been hidden for so long. It was like waking a sleeping giant from a long slumber, revealing its secrets once again. The most famous feature of the Great Temple is its incredible facade. 4 colossal statues of Ramses II are carved into the rock face. Each one is over 20 meters tall, which is higher than a 6-story building. They show the pharaoh seated on his throne, wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. His face is calm and powerful, looking out over the Nile for all eternity. These statues were designed to intimidate and impress any visitors arriving from the south. They sent a clear message: you are now entering the land of a mighty and divine king. Even today, standing before them, you cannot help but feel small in the presence of such greatness. Inside the Great Temple, the wonders continue. The main hall is filled with more giant statues of Ramses II. These statues are carved as pillars, holding up the roof of the chamber. They show him in the form of the god Osiris, a symbol of the afterlife and rebirth. The walls of the temple are covered in beautiful and colorful reliefs. These are not just decorations, they are history books carved in stone. They show scenes from Ramses's greatest military achievement, the Battle of Kadesh. You can see detailed images of the pharaoh in his chariot, leading his army against the Hittites. These carvings were propaganda, meant to forever celebrate his victory. The smaller temple, dedicated to Queen Nefertari, is equally beautiful, though on a smaller scale. Its facade features 6 standing statues. 4 of them depict Ramses II, and 2 depict Queen Nefertari. Unusually, the statues of the queen are the same height as those of the pharaoh. This was a great honor, showing her importance. The temple's interior is dedicated to the goddess Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty, and joy, with whom Nefertari was identified. The carvings inside show the queen making offerings to the gods. It is a very personal and beautiful monument, a true testament to the love between a king and his queen. One of the most brilliant features of the Great Temple is the solar alignment. The ancient architects designed the temple with incredible precision. Twice a year, on approximately February 22nd and October 22nd, something magical happens. The rays of the rising sun shine directly through the entrance, down the long corridor, and into the innermost sanctuary. The light illuminates the statues of 3 of the 4 gods seated there. Amun-Ra, Ra-Horakhti, and Ramesses II himself. The statue of Ptah, the god of darkness, remains in the shadows. This event links the pharaoh directly to the sun god, reinforcing his divine nature. It is a stunning display of ancient Egyptian astronomy and engineering. In the 1960s, a new danger threatened Abu Simbel. Egypt was building the Aswan High Dam. This was an important project for modern Egypt, as it would control the flooding of the Nile and create electricity. However, it would also create a huge man-made lake, Lake Nasser. This new lake would completely submerge the ancient temples of Abu Simbel underwater. The world was faced with a terrible choice: lose these ancient treasures forever, or attempt something that had never been done before. The thought of these magnificent temples being lost at the bottom of a lake was unbearable. It was a crisis for world heritage. The international community came together in an unprecedented effort. UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, launched a global appeal to save the temples. It was one of the greatest challenges in the history of archaeological preservation. Engineers and archaeologists from all over the world came to Egypt to find a solution. Many ideas were proposed, but one bold plan was chosen. The plan was to cut the temples into massive blocks and move them piece by piece to higher ground. It was an incredibly ambitious and expensive project, but the world agreed it had to be done. The salvage operation began in 1964 and was a masterpiece of engineering. First, a cofferdam was built to protect the temples from the rising waters of the Nile. Then, workers carefully cut the entire mountain and the two temples into more than 1,000 huge blocks. Some of these blocks weighed as much as 30 tons each. Every single block was carefully numbered and documented so it could be reassembled perfectly. Cranes lifted the giant pieces of stone and transported them to their new location. The new site was 65 meters higher and 200 meters back from the original spot, safely above the future lake's water level. The final step was to put everything back together. The blocks were reassembled with incredible precision, like a giant ancient puzzle. To make the new site look authentic, a huge concrete dome was built to serve as an artificial mountain. The temple blocks were then placed against this dome, and the exterior was covered with rock and rubble to recreate the original landscape. The entire project was completed in 1968. Most importantly, the engineers were able to reassemble the Great Temple so that the amazing solar alignment still works perfectly, just as the ancient architects intended. This incredible feat saved Abu Simbel for all of humanity. Today, on the 24th of July, 2025, Abu Simbel stands proudly in its new home. It is one of the most popular and important tourist destinations in all of Egypt. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people from around the world travel to this remote location to witness its grandeur. They come to gaze upon the colossal statues of Ramesses II and to walk through the sacred halls. The temples are a vital part of our country's economy, supporting many local communities through tourism. Seeing the wonder on the faces of visitors reminds me how important it is to protect our shared human history. These monuments connect us to our past and inspire our future. The importance of Abu Simbel goes far beyond tourism. For Egyptians, it is a powerful symbol of our rich and ancient culture. It represents the genius of our ancestors, their incredible skills in art, architecture, and astronomy. The story of Ramesses II and his great victory is a source of national pride. Furthermore, the modern story of the temple's rescue is also a point of pride. It shows what can be accomplished when people from all over the world work together to protect something precious. It stands as a monument not only to an ancient pharaoh, but also to modern international cooperation and respect for world heritage. The rescue of Abu Simbel set a new standard for cultural preservation. The success of this massive project inspired many other efforts to save important historical sites around the globe. It showed that with determination and ingenuity, we can protect our history from the threats of modern development. The campaign led to the creation of the UNESCO World Heritage List, which helps to identify and protect the world's most important natural and cultural sites. In this way, the legacy of Abu Simbel is not just its beautiful carvings, but also the global movement for heritage protection that it helped to create. In summary, Abu Simbel is more than just an ancient temple. It is a story of a powerful pharaoh who wanted to live forever through stone. It is a masterpiece of art and engineering, designed to align with the sun, It is also a modern miracle, a story of how the world came together to save a treasure from being lost forever. Visiting Abu Simbel is like traveling back in time. It connects us to the glorious past of the pharaohs and inspires us with a message of human achievement, both ancient and modern. It is a jewel of Egypt and a treasure for the entire world.